Hello, my fellow readers. I Dark Symphony 777, and welcome back to another fan fiction reading. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story. Now, I'm doing One Punch Man again. This time was Fight Me Again. It's the sequel to Fight Me, and I actually just noticed this. It actually is. It's actually a slice of life. I didn't even notice this at first. I actually checked the previous story and noticed, yeah, they had the genres in the synopsis as well. So ignore that. Ignore that little end at the part at the end. I'm sorry. So let's get started. This time for sure, said a familiar green-haired girl as she flew through the sky. 2 weeks had come and went since that night. The night she embarrassed herself by flying through cities to cities in simply her pajamas. Her child-size pajamas. To make it worse, he had a good look at her attire when she appeared before his apartment. To top that off, she still didn't get her rematch. All of that and for nothing. So what if she started going to that ramen noodle stand on a regular basis, began appreciating the fan letters she received, and had fond memories of that day? So what? She flew directly towards his apartment, landing in front of his door. Knocking, she waited. And waited some more. Nothing. Hey, don't you know you're supposed to open the door when someone's knocking? What if he's not there? She said, pounding the door. As expected, the door began to give away through her beating. Poorly constructed, it began splitting in two. And now look at what you made me do, idiot, she said, seeing the lock chain on the door. Using her power, she unlocked it, and it swung the door open. The small living room was without occupants, as well as the kitchen. Aha! I knew it! The only place she didn't check was his room. It actually caused her to blush. Being in some guy's room, no, 20 years old for God's sake, you could handle a few messes here and there, she assured herself as she walked right in. The room was actually the size of her linen closet, barely enough room to store his personal belongings, much less a bed. She spotted a sliding door that acted as the bridge between his room and the actual closet. There was the futon mattress rolled up along with some magazines and mangas. The room was well kept, but did it count when he had barely anything? Stupid, oh, where is he? She muttered as she returned to the living room. There was nothing to be embarrassed about. The room was nothing like she had seen in their soap operas. Closing the door behind her, she didn't even bother to fix the dented door as she began floating away. I guess my rematch isn't going to happen today. Oh, thought the green-haired Esper. A sight still bore the sense of defeat as she cast her purse into the sky. She shouldn't have waited so long to reenact a rematch. It was simply due to the overflow of work. It was non-stop of giant monsters and catastrophes that only someone of her caliber could handle. Seeing how it was too soon to go home, she decided to water her feet with a cup of ramen. Visiting the now familiar ice stand, she ordered her usual. She began to slurp her noodles upon receiving her bowl. Come on, King, one more round. I can totally beat you now, said a voice behind her. It was very familiar to her as her attention was caught on their conversation. Easy, bro. I don't think a few days of practice will change a thing, another familiar voice said. Can't do. Come on. You agree with me, right? I don't know, King. I don't know. This is King we're talking about. He could beat you with his eyes closed enough, unfamiliar voice said. Tatsumaki turned around to see Saitama, the man she was looking for with King and some nobody. Three of them were being all chummy with one another as they ate their noodles. You! She shouted, realizing the person she was looking for was messing around with his friend. She dropped down from her stool and walked over to them. Oh, it's you again. I see you started coming here by yourself. Good for you, Saitama said, patting her head, treating her as a child, a thing that held tremendous consequences as both King and Moomin Rider looked toward each other. They understood clearly of what was to come as they prepared themselves for the bone-crushing blow. Her head was tilted forward, allowing her veins to cover her eyes, preventing anyone to perceive the expression she had in her eyes turned to fist. They even began to glow as some of the items around the stall began to tremble. She began, bringing hold of his attention. Huh? He tilted his head slightly to the side. You actually lost, she muttered. Well, yeah, I've been trying to beat King for a while now. The guy's a total monster. Oh yes, King, the single most intimidating person in all of anime. With just one stare, he can bring millions to his knees. He must have conqueror's hockey. Gesturing toward the man, that heart began beating like a motor engine. Truthfully, King was close to shit himself. Was Saitama passing the potato to him? He wouldn't, right? As Saitama spoke of how he tried and tried with no luck, it caused something to sparkle in the girl's eyes. Really? She chimed happily. I dread what will happen when she finds out it's video games. I have a feeling the story's gonna end up being one gigantic joke with Sasuke just completely losing it. Either that, or she plays video games with King. Really, she chimed happily, an expression neither one of them were used to seeing. Yeah, you should give it a try. Maybe we'll be in the same boat, Saitama said, hoping to form a sense of camaraderie. That chance, what you failed, I am almost guaranteed success, she said, lifting her chest up as she felt confident. No matter the challenge, she was a shoo-in to win. Well, King, Saitama asked, turning to the man that had not said a word throughout the entire conversation between the Esper and Baldwin. Come on, seriously, call him by my name! There's the Saitama fourth wall break. King rose from his seat and stared down at the new challenger. His eyes resembled something that Tatsumaki never knew few people ever had. Resolution. She instantly respected him for holding his ground against her. Challenge accepted, said the tall man as the girl smiled. Saitama and Moomin Rider ordered some takeoff to bring along with them. Knowing their group, food was essential, all while Genos was getting busy getting some upgrades from his professor. Game over. Player 1 wins, spoke the announcers as player 2 dropped her head in defeat. It was the 27th match she had that day against King. 27 times she lost against him in pure love battle to the death 4. What? No matter what she did, switch controllers becoming player 1, button smashing, she could not land a hit on King's character. She picked a tall, elegant-looking priestess with a giant stone cross on her back. Her name was Sarah, a well-endowed woman with the ability to receive grace from God. A trait that allowed her to replenish her mana faster than the normal rate. Using her abilities, Tatsumaki kept performing special attacks at King's fighter, which was a schoolgirl with pom-poms. What? Apparently she had the special ability to allows her to become an up and rising idol that provides her the ability to attack with hearts. King said it has something to do with Moe, and how effective it is no matter the challenger. What? What? With the current standing at 27-0, King decided to take a piss. Handed the controller to someone else, Saitama took hold of the action. I guess I'm up. Seeing Saitama, Tatsumaki instantly remembered why she approached him. It was so she could challenge him to an actual match. On this piece of shit video game, it clearly could not handle her skills, as they only read like 1/3 of it. Mainly because your whole thing is just basically button mashing. Like, your button masher going against King, who I'm guessing is probably a pro gamer, so he knows the combos and mechanic stuff like that. A friend of mine actually wants to get into esports. Mainly the Smash Brothers scene. I don't know. Stuff like that. At least that was the explanation she gave herself after her 5th match. Forget this, she said. She stood up, looking down at Saitama as he remained in an honest sitting position. I want a rematch for last time. A real fight, she declared, pointing her finger toward his face. Moomin Rider felt the next to add something into the pot as he leaned toward Saitama. Sounds like she's scared of losing another match. Saitama realized what Moomin Rider meant. Oh, I see. Fine, since you don't want to lose, I guess I fight you in something. Oh, no, you don't! Before he knew it, he found himself looking at only Tsumaki's eyes as she peered up before him, barely a space between their faces as she stared intensely at him. The action took him by surprise. He lifted his eyebrows very slightly while letting out She took a step back while walking back and dropping down to the ground. Picking up her controller, she gestured for him to join her. Both male heroes looked at each other before shrugging their shoulders. Sitting beside her, he took the controller for player 1 and began picking a character. She stayed with the same, seeing as she already bonded with her character. The ideal outcome that Tatsumaki desired to reach. Internally, she told herself to drink more milk and stretch in the morning when she goes to bed. Picking at where she left off, she got ready, as did Kate Baldy. Seriously, you can't just call me Saitama the entire story? No, you can't! Because you're Kate Baldy! Deal with it! Both players took hold of their characters. He allowed her to pick the stage. Any stage was fine with him, especially when he had been playing this game for over a month now. She picked the abandoned high school as both players descended to the stage. Fight! King let out a sigh. The girl definitely had a flame that burned inside of her, something he actually enjoys seeing in players. A flame very much like Saitama, he thought. Since winning his third competition without a hitch, he found players becoming more reluctant to play with him. At first, he thought it was due to his appearance and presence along with his status as S-Class. It wasn't until he went to his favorite arcade that he managed to hear a couple of his game buddies talking. They talked about how fair life was. King was both a hero and master game. That's King's special power. That's why he's an S-Class hero. He beats all the villains at video games. Like, I challenge you to a game. No! Two traits that eventually rubbed them the wrong way as they began to see how pitiful they were. They invested hours of gameplay, hours they could have used to make more money, hang out with friends, and perhaps find love. All used so they can rise to the top, only to find that someone was already there and they were in a whole other level. To make it worse, he was an S-Class hero, meaning he has a successful life. That furthered the negative feelings deep in their heart. In their heats? What? You mean hearts. Those feelings gave birth to jealousy and resentment as they refused to play against King. But Saitama continued to come back. Each time King defeats Saitama, the number of flawless victories does nothing to deflate Saitama's flame. Before he knew it, more people began to join in. Of course, they were brought in through Saitama's influence, but even so, they remained. Moomin Rider and Blizzard of Hell were the two that came back the most. Fubuki originally came to recruit Saitama, but stayed and joined their unnamed group. Despite how it began, King was actually enjoying his life. It was far better than playing by himself. Ending his business in the bathroom, he stepped out. He could hear the commotion coming from his living room. It seemed like a heavy debate as screams were heard. Walking in, he found both Saitama and Tatsumaki butting heads. Confused, he walked toward Moomin Rider, who kept a fair distance from the two. Seeing King, a sense of comfort fell on the C-Class hero. He explained that Saitama and Tatsumaki were fighting, and surprisingly, they both got sudden death. Sudden death, a feature that was introduced in the second installment of the series. Pretty much when both fighters reach 0 health points at the exact same time, then they get resurrected for one final battle. Only that, they're more successful to attacks, and they're not able to defend. Just dodge. With that, they fought but kept getting sudden death. Each time they got sudden death, Tatsumaki shoved Saitama to the side, moving to disrupt his gameplay. Only that, he retaliated with a push of her own. Before they knew it, both players were shoving each other as they waged war in the game. Give it up, Baldy. You can't hope to defeat me, Tatsumaki exclaimed as she continued with her force. Get off my back. There's no way I'm going to lose to some brat. Brat? I'll show you, brat. Baldy. Strands of her hair floated as she kept her concentration on the game and on him. So what if I'm bald? He spat. I like that comeback. King had an astonished look on his face as both him and Moomin Rider smiled at the display. This was the truest sight of gamers, both fighting with all their heart and body. Still, both heroes were curious to see who would reign supreme. At the end of the day, two heroes quietly made their way through the vacant street. It was nearly midnight, so Saitama felt it was appropriate to walk the little girl home. In the end, it could be from pressuring from both King and Moomin Rider that got him to offer. Seriously, the brat was an S-Class hero. To top it off, she was rank 2, meaning she was strong. No one in their right mind would even think to mess with someone like her. Still, both King and Moomin Rider had a point. Despite her powers and class level, she was still a girl. She was a 28-year-old girl, but she's still a girl. I might not be able to fall asleep if I let her walk all the way home by herself, thought the hero. He took a quick glance at the girl as she had a satisfying smile. It's weird. She was frustrated just an hour ago. You see, during their match, she kept knocking each other out at the same time, over and over again. Those past 2 hours with no clear winner that when a beast-level monster stormed through King's apartment. He heard a hero lived there and wanted to press his luck. Unfortunately, he barged right through the wall along with a television that was mounted on said wall. As he began spending on how strong he was and how he heard there was an S-Class hero living nearby, he was hoping to test his strength. But before he could say anything else, both players stood up. Each one of them held a dark and menacing aura that enveloped them. It brought the monster to his knees as he tried to leave, only to be spotted by King that stood there, staring down at the scum that destroyed his game system and copied a pure love battle to the death with his foot. His look alone that left the monster paralyzed before his body floated into the air. Moving him outside, Tatsumaki held him in place as Saitama finished him off with a single punch. As much as they hated it, they agreed to postpone their match until King could get a new television, game style, and another copy of the game. So after a dinner with the rest, both heroes took their leave together. For Tatsumaki, it was a novel experience. The only time she was out this late, much less awake, was when she's dealing with a monster. By now, she was having trouble staying awake, as her body swayed left and right in the air. Using what was left of her energy, she floated towards Saitama. Feeling his back, she latched herself onto him. "What are you doing?" asked the fellow hero. "Shut up, I'm falling asleep here. The least you can do is carry me back home, Baldy." The last part was whispered as her eyes began to close. "Hey, don't fall asleep just yet. I don't know where you live," he asked. Head turned, he saw only a sleeping girl on his back. He did manage to stir her enough to get her some clue of the location of her house. He only knew of the city. White condo on Machio Tower. "I guess that's good," he said as he continued to walk for the both of them. Eventually, as the stars and moons provided them, Saitama managed to get her home. She was too tired to change, so he left her asleep in her usual black dress. Seeing her in that form, he actually found her pleasant. Shifting to one side, she gave Saitama a different display of her face. It brought back something she said before. "Forget this. I want a rematch for this last time. A real fight." He suddenly remembered that she came to him for another fight. Instead, they spent the entire time playing video games. Still, he knew it was late, so he decided to leave a quick message instead. Closing the door, he made sure to lock it before sliding the key under the door. Returning home, he began to wonder about his disciple. He had not seen Genos all day. Whistling in the night, he wondered what he should do about beating King. "Oh, Pure Love Battle to the Death 5 is coming in soon. Maybe I have better luck in that game," wondered the bald hero. Meanwhile, Tatsumaki slept peacefully in the bed. By her light stand, there was a message. "Sorry about today. I still owe you a fight, right? Let's try again next time. Oh, and whenever you feel like it, let's also play again. It was fun. Saitama." That was actually much better than the first one. I like it was more slice of life. It did have that little hint of comedy to it, but this one was just more friendly. It's like Tatsumaki's just warming up to Saitama and, becoming a part of the gang. I really like that aspect. Now, before I continue, I'm actually gonna just I'm gonna leave this picture up because it references One Punch Man. Here's Saitama and these three are Tatsumaki while I talk. I do like the story. I do think it gives us a better camaraderie on the characters. Like Tatsumaki's, she's stubborn and she's trying to be like this, trying to be better than everyone else, but then she kind of bonds over Saitama over the simple fact that she found someone who isn't equal, who she wants to, who she's slowly bonding. I actually want to see this continue because at the bottom, the author did say, should he or she continue the one shot series? I actually would like to see it continue, mainly just do a trilogy. Like actually, if you do a trilogy, like you do one last story, it should be the actual fight. But Tatsumaki and Saitama, it's more of a mock fight. They're not taking it seriously, and they kind of become friends, like and then they say, "You want to hang out?" Sure, stuff like that. I really do, but any direction the story goes, I actually would want to see more. Yeah, that's my review on Fight Me Again. I forgot to rate it. I actually give this one a 4 out of 5. This was just miles better. It had a lot of charm. It had a lot of personality. Everything was kind of paced better than the first one. The first one wasn't paced that bad, but this one was just kind of felt more like a genuine slice of life. While the first one kind of felt like it was trying to be slice of life and comedy at the same time, but it wasn't really meshing that well. But this one was just a more better balance. So this has been Dark Symphony 777 with Fight Me Again and cut.